let's talk due diligence. When you're purchasing a house, you have two opportunities to really do your due diligence: before you make the offer and after the offer has been accepted. So, what do you do before you even write an offer? You've gone and seen the house, you love it, you talk to your realtor, and you say, I want to put an offer in. Okay, perfect. Now, the realtor can do is look at comps in the area, and you guys can decide, are they at value, under value, and if it's a bidding war, which it has been the last few years, and you can use those comps to get an idea of the price they're aiming for, what is out of line with the market, and what is potentially going to be your winning offer without just going crazy. And it might be the case you don't even want to compete because it shows they go way above what you're willing to pay. Now, another thing, this happened to me last week. I have clients, we're going and seeing houses. They want privacy. They want to live on like a quarter acre or more, and they love to live in the country. So we find the perfect house. I mean, it's $200,000 under budget. The house isn't perfect, but it's 2 acres, Oregon City. It's got a creek running through it, and it's butted up against rolling farm fields. And they asked me, well, is that going to become a subdivision? The farm field right next to them. And I know with Oregon zoning, urban growth boundary, all that it's not going to be. However, it's important to my clients. So we do our due diligence, and I discover that there's going to be a 10-acre solar field. It's not a subdivision. I was right about that, but I didn't think about a 10-acre solar field. The permit's open, and it's not being executed on. There's no construction, but you wouldn't know that unless you did the due diligence. And so they decided not to write an offer. It could be built, it might not be built, who knows? If it's built, they don't want to live there. So we don't write an offer. So that takes us to the second opportunity to do due diligence. After your offer is accepted, you do the inspections. That's a whole video on its own. You find in inspections, you're doing sewer scopes, you're doing the general inspection of the house, and you find out everything that's wrong with it. And once you find a list of things that's wrong with it, you can do one of 3 things. Accept it as is, negotiate repairs. I guess there's 4 things. Negotiate repairs, negotiate a credit in lieu of repairs, or walk away. And that is going to be, you might ask for $16,000. Seller's willing to pay $1,000, and so you run away. You do inspections as $1,000 in repairs, and you're like, not even gonna worry about it. We'll just accept it as is. It's probably not gonna be either of those. It's gonna be somewhere in the middle. I usually tell people a house is gonna need usually around $4,000 in repairs. That varies wildly. I've had new construction 0, and I've had repairs go up. I had one farmhouse that required $150,000 in repairs. So it's a wide variable. However, there's another thing that you need to do due diligence on. For example, 3 months ago, client buying a property to build 3 ADUs on, has old CCNRs on it from an HOA that's defunct, that says that you can have only 1 residence per lot. This is a problem. Listing agent says, don't worry about it. There's all this nonsense on the CCNRs, some racist stuff, old septic tank, setbacks, all that stuff that doesn't really apply. And so common sense would say it's all not enforceable. It's just old. Don't worry about it. Now, due diligence. I'm not a lawyer. Listing agent is not a lawyer. Principal broker, not a lawyer. So I call it a lawyer. Lawyer says, we go down the list and there's exceptions to everything on the list. All these things not being enforced in the neighborhood. 1 residence per lot. There's no ADUs in the neighborhood. There's no duplexes. So that has never been challenged. And he tells me, if my client builds 3 units on there and CCRs say that it's not allowed, it doesn't matter what the city says. It doesn't matter what the state says. HOAs, a lot of times the city will take precedence over the HOA. I mean, will not take precedence over HOA. HOA, those CCRs don't just disappear because the HOA is non-existent. And so you can imagine not everybody's going to be happy about those 3 units being built in a traditionally single family neighborhood. So that's the bump we find. Now my client really wants the house. So when you find due diligence, when your due diligence does its job and you find road bumps, don't just stop. If you want the house, let's see if we can figure it out. So I shout out to Cascade Title on this one, because what I did, I remembered 4 years ago, I had taken a class at a title plant, and I remembered that the escrow agent leading the tour once said, well, in some of these old documents, not every escrow company is going to have all the same records. So that led me to calling Cascade Title, who I usually use in Springfield, and they had 2 documents that the other title company did not have. And those documents were the nullification of all those CCRs and the termination of the HOA officially that runs with the property. So, problem solved. We closed on the property, and my client is starting construction in the next couple months or 2. So remember, do your due diligence, but don't let your due diligence stop you from buying the house unless, well, you don't want to buy it anymore. Can't do anything about a solar field. That's the neighbor's property. They can do it. They're permitted. They can do it. Nothing you can do about it. But if it needs a new roof, negotiate it and work it out. So remember, due diligence, and then go the next step to make it happen. All right? Best of luck, everybody, and safe home searching. If not, let me know if you need any help, and if you know anybody that needs help or just wants advice. Even if you're 2 years out, your next month, whatever, I'd love to talk to you about it and set you on the right path. All right, have a good one. Bye.